Good afternoon, students. I hope you are all well. Today, I will continue with the teaching of Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 1, and I am going to teach you page 25 and 26. So, in my last video, we had stopped when Salarino and Salanio left the scene, and Lorenzo also would want to leave, but he has waited on with Graziano. So we begin with Graziano's speech. Now, before I start the teaching, I would like to inform you that the speech of Graziano, which starts at line number 82 and ends at line number 107, this speech is very, very important. So to make your understanding better and to follow this important and a little difficult speech, I have broken the video into two parts of 15 minutes each so that you will be able to understand it carefully. Again, while I am teaching it to you, you must remember that you have to keep looking at the meanings given at the side on the right hand side. A lot of meanings have been given, so you will refer to those meanings while you are reading the text. So I will begin now. Graziano's speech. You look not well, Signor Antonio. You have too much respect upon the world. They lose it that they do buy it with much care. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. In this speech, Graziano has observed Antonio, and he tells him, you look not well, you do not seem to look well, Signor Antonio. Signor is sir. You have too much respect upon the world. Explained at the side, you have too many anxious thoughts concerning worldly affairs. That means Antonio is all the time thinking about the affairs of the world, and this is making him seem unwell. They lose it that do buy it with much care. Explained at the side, line number 77, those who spend too much time worrying about worldly matters are never really happy. So Graziano is trying to tell Antonio that if you are going to spend your time and your energy only worrying about worldly matters, you are never going to be happy. So you must not dwell too much on worldly affairs. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. Trust me, Antonio, your appearance has changed so much. Now, what does Antonio have to say in reply to Graziano's speech? He says, I hold the world but as the world, Graziano, a stage where every man must play a part, and mine a sad one. I hold the world but as the world. Again, look at the side. I think of the world for what it is, Graziano. I take the world for what it is. Now, line number 80, a stage where every man must play a part. Over here, the figure of speech is a metaphor. What is a metaphor? A metaphor is an implied simile. Now, when I use the word implied simile, what I am trying to tell you is that a metaphor does the work of a simile, but it does not use the words like and as. All right? The meaning of metaphor is an implied simile. It is a figure of speech. So here Antonio compares the world to a stage where every man must play a part. Okay? The world is like a stage, and each one of us who comes into this world has a part to play. All right, some may be play a comical part, some may play a sad part, some may play a villainous part. So that is how Antonio considers this world. All right. So the figure of speech over here is a metaphor, metaphor. And if you want to write the meaning, it is an implied simile. So he says the world is a stage where every man must play his part, and mine is a sad one. And Antonio says that the part that I have been sent to play in this world is that of a sad person. Now the meaning given at the side is Shakespeare wishes to create a sense of foreboding. What is the meaning of foreboding? Foreboding is like a forewarning. So it is preparing us, the readers, or we could say the audience, that the coming events in the play are not very happy for Antonio. All right, you have read the play earlier, you know that he was not able to return the money in 3 months' time, and Shylock was very, very determined to take the pound of flesh. So at the very beginning of the play, Shakespeare presents Antonio as a person who is melancholic. And why? Because he wants to prepare us for the events that are to follow in the coming acts and scenes. All right. And so Antonio tells Graziano that my part in this world is that of a sad one. I am here to be sad, I am here to be melancholic. So now we are moving on to Graziano's speech. This speech, please put a double tick at the side and write very important. A lot of its meanings are given at the side and I will keep referring to it. Okay. Now Graziano says, let me play the fool with mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come, and let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. So Graziano says, if this world is a stage, then I would like to play the part of a fool. Who is a fool? A fool is a person who is being comical, who is being an entertainer, who is amusing people. All right. So if Antonio has chosen to play a tragic part, if he wants to be a melancholic person, so Graziano would like to play the part of a comic fool. All right. And please understand that when we use the word fool, it's not a stupid person, but an entertainer, comic role. How would he like to play a comic role? He says, with mirth and laughter, let all wrinkles come. Mirth and laughter, joy, happiness, all right? Let all wrinkles come. When I laugh, let the wrinkles appear on my face. So when I turn old and when wrinkles appear on my face, it should be due to my happiness, due to joy, due to laughter, rather than sadness, all right? And let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. Let my liver rather heat with wine. Let us look at the meaning of line 84 given at the side. According to the Elizabethan belief, wine drinking warmed the liver. All right. So people who drank wine, their liver was warm. It was believed then means during the Elizabethan times, that there were 4 basic types of characters: the choleric, the melancholy, the phlegmatic, and the sanguine. Now, first you take down the meanings of these words. Number 1, choleric. Choleric is bad-tempered, irritable, all right, always in a bad mood. Melancholy, we know, is sad, like how Antonio has been presented. Phlegmatic is calm, unemotional. When I say calm and unemotional, means those people who do not get disturbed, or they do not show any form of emotions in their life. All right, on their face, on their expression is very calm, unaffected. And sanguine, the nature of a person is one of a lively one. All right. So, and sanguine. Now, these types were physiologically determined by the digestion of food in the liver. the Elizabethan belief. Now please understand, when we are talking about these kind of characters or natures or characteristics of a person, we are referring to the Elizabethan times, all right? And when the play was written, during the Elizabethan times, people believed that a person's character or nature was determined by the kind of food he ate, which in turn determined his nature. All right. So the juices that were excreted by the liver determined the character of a person. A liver enriched by wine would produce rich blood and thus a lively personality. So that is why Graziano says, let my liver rather heat with wine. Why does he want his liver to heat with wine? So that he would be a lively person. He would have a sanguine nature, personality, all right? And thereby he would be able to play the role of a fool, all right? Than my heart cool with mortifying groans, he says, I would not want my heart cooling with mortifying groans. What is the meaning of mortifying groans? Mortifying means causing death. So, if you're sighing and you're groaning, these emotions were believed to take blood from the heart. All right, it takes away the blood from the heart, which will result in a person dying. Okay, so if you're sighing, if you're mourning, if you're melancholic all the time, what is happening? You are reducing your life because these emotions are drawing away the blood from your heart. Okay, then he says, why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? Now, Graziano is actually referring to Antonio. Why should a man like Antonio, who is a young person, who has warm blood within, why should he sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? Now, who's a grandsire? Grandsire is a grandfather. Alabaster means white stone. During the Elizabethan times, once again, we refer back to the period when the elder members of the family, like a grandfather, died, and what would happen is that after a period of time, the sons or the grandsons would carve out the statue of the grandfather out of white stone and place it at the entrance of the gate. So people who would enter the house would kind of pay homage or respect when they saw the statue carved of the grandfather. Now, what is Graziano trying to say? He is trying to say that a man who is young and who has warm blood in his system, why is he sitting like a grandfather whose statue is cut in white stone? That means motionless, all right? No activity, no motion, no movement, no activity, and just sitting still. Sleep when he wakes. Now, to sleep when he wakes, explained other side down, line number 88, to be motionless during the working hours, all right, during day, as if he were asleep. Now, what does he mean to say over here? He basically tries to say that a person who is melancholic, all right, this person is quite motionless. When we use the word motionless, we mean there is no activity being performed by this person because he is so gloomy, he is so dull, he is so sad that he just sits passively, and it seems as if to say he was sleeping, or rather he is sleeping during the day when one should be active and doing good work, all right, and creep into the jaundice by being peevish. Now, to creep into the jaundice, look at the meaning given on your left side below here. Now, to creep into the jaundice means to gradually work himself to be in a jaundice state by being irritable. Now, what is jaundice? Jaundice is a disease which makes the skin turn yellow. Elizabethans thought that jaundice was caused by jealousy and bad tempered. The meaning of peevish is bad tempered. So again, the influence of the mind on the body. Now, what he's trying to say over here is to creep into the jaundice means when you are melancholic, when you are sad, when you are irritable, when you are bad tempered, then you gradually work yourself into a state of jaundice, because the juices that are excreted, it kind of makes you ill. You end up with jaundice and you are bad tempered. All right. So when you are bad tempered, it will have an effect on your body. You will end up having jaundice, you will get sick. Now please understand one thing, that when we talk about these various illnesses, like to have jaundice, and when we refer to mortifying groans, all these basically are a result of your mind only when it is worried. When you are worried, when you are contemplating, when you are sad, when you are gloomy, when you are jealous, all these things have an effect on your body, which results in some form of illness or the other. All right. So this is what he's trying to say, that and creep into the jaundice means to gradually work yourself to be in a jaundice state by being irritable, by being angry. All right. If you're going to be irritated, you're going to have bad temper, or there's any form of jealousy, it will result in you having jaundice. All right. Then he says, I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. So Graciano says that I tell you all of this, Antonio, because I love you, and it is the love for you that causes me to speak to you in this manner. And he is basically trying to tell Antonio that he is concerned about him. He doesn't want Antonio to get sick. He doesn't want Antonio to be melancholic. He wants Antonio to be a cheerful young man. All right. So I will stop this video at this point, and my next video will be a continuation from line number 91. So thank you, boys, and I'm going to put up both the videos today. Hope you are able to understand them.